All right, Cowboys fans, let's dive into what's going on with this team because, honestly, things are looking rough. After the game against the Bears, we already had a sense that the defense was struggling, but the performance against the Giants took it to another level. It's one thing to lose a close matchup or have an off night, but when the opposition comes in and moves the ball effortlessly, scoring 37 points and gaining over 500 yards, you start to realize the depth of the issues on this roster. What's even more alarming is that in the Giants' other two games combined, they barely put up anything: 15 points, 512 yards of total offense, and just one touchdown. The contrast is stark, and it highlights that the Cowboys' defense isn't just having a bad day. They're in a full-blown crisis. And then there's CeeDee Lamb. The news about his high ankle sprain puts a huge question mark over the offense. Normally, a high ankle sprain sidelines a player for 4 to 6 weeks, and even when players try to come back early, it's rarely effective because the injury makes it impossible to perform at peak level. The Cowboys are hinting it might not be as severe as initially feared, but even a slight limitation for Lamb has massive implications for this offense. When your top receiver is limited, it forces adjustments that impact the entire game plan, and suddenly the pressure shifts even more onto a defense that is already showing cracks. This isn't just a setback, it's a signal that the team's margin for error is razor thin, and every injury becomes magnified in a way that could define the season. Looking at the defensive side, the signs are troubling, and the stats confirm the nightmare scenario. The Cowboys have built a team with a strong run defense, which is a positive, but it's overshadowed by how easily opponents are slicing through the secondary. In terms of yards per play, they rank near the bottom of the league. Every time a quarterback drops back against Dallas, they're averaging nearly a first down per throw. That's catastrophic for any chance of sustained competitiveness. You can't survive in the modern NFL when passing attacks can methodically pick apart your coverage. Even teams that shouldn't be considered offensive juggernauts are able to exploit the gaps, and the combination of poor coverage, limited pressure on the quarterback, and missed tackles creates a cascading problem that impacts every level of play. Third downs are another glaring issue. Opponents are converting almost 54% of their opportunities, and on fourth downs, the defense is barely any better. When your team allows consistent yardage on key downs, it forces the offense to take unnecessary risks, and it changes the flow of every game. This isn't just bad luck or coincidence. It's an organizational problem that stretches from scheme design to execution. The bend but don't break philosophy that the Cowboys are trying to implement seems appealing on paper, but in practice, it's breaking under pressure. Without the ability to create consistent pass rush or tight coverage, the defense collapses under the weight of modern, high-tempo offenses. Pressure on the quarterback is nearly non-existent. The Cowboys' edge rushers, while talented, aren't generating the disruption needed to alter plays, and the interior defensive line isn't providing enough push to collapse pockets. Even with players like Kenny Clark and Osa Odigizwa doing solid work against the run, the overall pass rush remains ineffective. Without pressure, quarterbacks have the luxury to survey the field, identify weaknesses, and execute at will. This further exposes the secondary, forcing cornerbacks and safeties into positions where they're frequently outmatched. The comparisons to previous years are hard to ignore. The 2020 Cowboys defense started the season in a similar pattern. Early losses in primetime games, a wild win in Week 2, followed by a struggle against strong opponents. The parallels are striking, and the concern is that history might be repeating itself. Without immediate adjustments, both in coaching strategy and player performance, the team risks slipping into the same trap of being unable to compete with top-tier NFC teams. The implications are enormous because if the defense can't stabilize, the offense is forced to overcompensate, leading to mistakes, turnovers, and missed opportunities. On the offensive side, injuries like Lamb's amplify the problem. When your top weapon is limited, the margin for error disappears. Teams don't just need to score. They need to score efficiently and consistently. If the defense cannot hold opponents under 30 points, the offense has to operate at an unsustainable level just to stay competitive. The interconnection between offense and defense becomes glaringly obvious. One side falters, and the other is forced into a reactive, high-risk mode. In football, the ecosystem is fragile, and the Cowboys are showing cracks. The pass defense numbers are almost surreal. Yards allowed per game, completion percentages, passer ratings, success rates on crucial downs. All indicators point to a unit that is underperforming at historic levels. From zone coverage to man-to-man assignments, there seems to be no consistency. Miscommunications, blown assignments, and poor reactions to offensive schemes are creating a defense that is not only vulnerable, but often exploited for explosive plays. This doesn't just affect a single game. It compounds week after week, eroding confidence and placing additional pressure on both young players and veterans. Even when individual players perform well, it's not enough to mask systemic flaws. The front seven might manage the run, but the secondary struggles turn solid individual performances into overall failures. Without balance across all phases, the Cowboys are left in a precarious position. Each week, opponents adjust, exposing weaknesses, and the team seems ill-equipped to respond. The pressure on coaches to make changes is immense, but it's also a test of the players' ability to execute. Without improvements in both areas, the defense risks continuing as one of the worst in the league, and the offense will be forced into hero ball scenarios that are unsustainable. The magnitude of the problem becomes clear when examining third down performance, explosive plays allowed, and overall efficiency metrics. Dallas is allowing offenses to sustain drives, control the clock, and dictate the pace. This has ripple effects on the entire game plan, including time of possession, fatigue, and scoring opportunities. When your team is constantly on its heels, it's nearly impossible to maintain momentum or confidence. Even small mistakes are magnified, and the margin for error is non-existent. Ultimately, the Cowboys' defense is in a state where quick fixes are unlikely. You can't simply add a player here or a coach there and expect immediate results. The issues are systemic, involving scheme, personnel, execution, and perhaps even culture. Short-term adjustments may mitigate certain problems, but the overarching vulnerabilities will remain unless significant, coordinated changes occur. The reality is stark. This team needs solutions at multiple levels, from player development to strategic innovation. Without addressing the core issues, the Cowboys risk slipping into a season where they are unable to compete consistently, regardless of offensive output or individual talent. Now, shifting focus to the offense, the situation is equally intricate, though it's shaped by different factors. The Cowboys' scoring potential is directly tied to how well the defense can at least slow opponents down, and with the defense bleeding yardage on nearly every drive, the pressure on the offense becomes almost unbearable. When a team is forced to score 35 or 40 points just to remain competitive, the margin for error disappears entirely. Every dropped pass, every missed block, every poorly executed route is amplified because the defense is allowing constant, high-efficiency drives from opponents. The game script becomes unforgiving, and even a competent offensive unit is pushed to unsustainable levels. The quarterback must be near flawless, the receivers must consistently win their matchups, and the offensive line must hold strong against relentless pass rushes, all while the clock ticks mercilessly. It's an ecosystem where one weak link can derail the entire operation, and the Cowboys are showing just how fragile that system has become. CeeDee Lamb's injury makes this tension even more pronounced. A top-tier receiver like him doesn't just move the chains, he opens up the entire field. His absence or even limited availability forces defensive coordinators to tighten coverage on other targets, disrupts timing with the quarterback, and narrows the playbook options. When a key playmaker is out, defenses can cheat toward the areas where the offense is most vulnerable, and suddenly, what was once a balanced attack becomes predictable. The quarterback faces additional pressure, not just physically, but mentally, needing to readjust on every snap and anticipate adjustments from opponents who are now confident in exploiting the weakened receiving core. And it isn't just Lamb. When other role players or secondary receivers aren't performing at peak levels, The compounding effect is a passing game that struggles to sustain drives and convert in crucial situations. The ripple effect touches every aspect of offensive efficiency and makes game management an increasingly uphill battle. Time of possession also becomes a critical factor. When the defense can't get off the field on third down, the offense is forced to stay on the field longer, exposing fatigue and increasing the risk of mistakes. It's a vicious cycle. The defense allows sustained drives. The offense is under constant pressure to score quickly, and as mistakes mount, the team spirals into reactive play rather than proactive strategy. Even in situations where the Cowboys do manage to score efficiently, the effort required is magnified exponentially because every point comes with the knowledge that the defense is unlikely to respond in kind. The mental toll on the players is substantial, and the margin for maintaining focus across 4 quarters narrows dramatically. Looking at the offensive line, their role is pivotal, but even strong line play can only mitigate so much when the defensive unit across from them consistently wins one-on-one battles. The quarterback has less time to make reads. Timing routes are disrupted, and the chemistry between passers and receivers is challenged by inconsistent protection. In addition, running backs who might typically carry the load to relieve pressure on the passing game are forced to adapt, often seeing their lanes constricted by defensive fronts that anticipate plays. Even if the team ranks decently in rushing yards or yards per carry, the situation becomes unsustainable when the passing game cannot reliably extend drives or threaten downfield. It's a balancing act that is failing, and the offense, while talented, is being forced into situations where talent alone is not enough. The strategic impact of these conditions also becomes visible in play calling. Coordinators are compelled to adjust schemes to compensate for weaknesses, and while some adjustments are logical, they often make the playbook less versatile. Predictability creeps in because coaches are forced to rely on high-percentage plays or simplified reads to limit mistakes, which in turn makes it easier for opposing defenses to anticipate and counter the offense. The dynamic that worked in a limited sample of games suddenly becomes transparent over a season. Teams study film, identify trends, and exploit vulnerabilities, without the ability to execute complex or nuanced strategies effectively. The Cowboys are forced into reactive football, where every game feels like a battle just to maintain competitiveness rather than a chance to dictate momentum. The mental strain on players also cannot be overlooked. Football is as much psychological as it is physical, and a team that faces repeated setbacks, such as defensive breakdowns, injuries, and tough opposition, enters a feedback loop of pressure and stress. When players are constantly reacting instead of executing proactively, hesitation creeps in. A split-second delay in decision-making at quarterback, a missed assignment in the secondary, or even a lack of aggression at the line of scrimmage can compound into catastrophic results. The offense may execute a perfect play only to see it neutralized because the defense couldn't hold, and the psychological toll of such repeated failures can erode confidence across the entire roster. Even special teams are impacted in this ecosystem. When the offense struggles to sustain drives or the defense allows rapid scoring, kickoff and punt coverage takes on heightened significance. Field position becomes more critical, and mistakes in these phases are magnified. A missed tackle or a poorly executed return isn't just a minor setback. It shifts momentum and places further pressure on both the offensive and defensive units. It's all interconnected, and the Cowboys are feeling the consequences of a team-wide imbalance. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. The Dallas Cowboys are reportedly shaking the NFL to its core. Sources close to the team claim that the Cowboys have secured deals with wide receiver Xavier and star cornerback Marcus Williams, creating what insiders are already calling the fastest defensive unit in the league. If the whispers are true, Dallas could be on the verge of a historic transformation, combining elite speed, precision, and playmaking ability in a way that no opponent can ignore. Xavier, known for his blazing speed and sharp route running, has been on the radar of several franchises, but rumors suggest that Dallas swooped in with an offer impossible to refuse. Worthy's ability to stretch defenses vertically could pair perfectly with the Cowboys' existing offensive weapons, potentially forcing rival defenses into constant panic. Meanwhile, Marcus Williams, who has built a reputation as one of the most instinctive and athletic defensive backs in the NFL, reportedly brings a dual threat, shutting down the opposition's top receivers while also contributing to turnover opportunities. Combining Williams' defensive acumen with Worthy's offensive explosiveness could make Dallas a team that dominates at both ends of the field. Speculation is swirling that head coach and offensive coordinator have been quietly plotting this high-speed revolution for months, studying how to optimize matchups and unleash a full-throttle, no-huddle attack. NFL insiders suggest that if these signings go through, the Cowboys' offense could set records for yards per game and big plays in a single season. Fans are already imagining explosive sideline-to-sideline plays, long bombs, and defenders struggling to keep up with this rumored lightning-fast squad. Of course, none of this has been officially confirmed, but the excitement is palpable. Social media is buzzing with Cowboys supporters imagining a team that not only scores in bunches, but also outruns every opponent. If this story proves true, the NFL may have to brace itself for a team that redefines speed, athleticism, and pure entertainment on the gridiron. The Cowboys might not just be fast, they might be untouchable. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.